Good evening. This is Eswatini TV News Bulletin at 8, read to you by myself, Natileti Tole, alongside Zamanzi Manzi. First up, here's a look at our headlining stories. The Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs says gambling addicts need support so they can be rehabilitated. The Public Accounts Committee urges the Ministry of Public Works and Transport to move fast in fixing the country's roads which are in a bad state. Insufficient budget allocation for capital projects then requested, like roads construction, results in completion costs shooting up. And now the news in detail. Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs Moses Vilagati says gambling addicts need support so they can be rehabilitated. Vilagati says the Gaming Control Bill number 17 of 2019 will ensure that gambling addicts are assisted. The minister said this when officially opening a Senate workshop on the bill at the King Sobhuza II Memorial Park in Lubamba on Monday.
The proposed law, the Gaming Control Bill of 2019, will repeal 4 existing legislations. These laws are the Lotteries Act of 1963, Licensing of Bookmakers and Taxation Act of 1970, Casino Act of 1963, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of the Crimes Act of 1889. Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs Moses Vilagati says the existing laws are old and the country is losing a lot of money in the absence of current ones. Vilagati says this is because a lot of locals are gambling online and as a result government is not benefiting anything. Vilagati says the proposed law will not only see to it that government benefits from gambling but that gambling addicts get support.
There is a realization that in the gaming industry there are those people who end up being addicted. And it's our responsibility to ensure that they are assisted. And it is the responsibility of the board that will be constituting to ensure that there is a fund to assist those people who are addicted.
Chairman of the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs Senate Portfolio Committee Isaac Makakula says the law, once passed, will cater for everyone.
Ifair play ibanjani kude nikuchithana lapha nalapha no status mhlambe sitakale ngato.
The legislation will, among other issues, establish a gaming board which will regulate gambling issues in the country. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela, Lubamba.
The Public Accounts Committee urges the Ministry of Public Works and Transport to move fast in fixing the country's roads which are in a bad state. This was during the ministry's appearance before the committee.
The Public Accounts Committee is worried that most of the country's roads are in a bad state. The committee urges the Ministry of Public Works and Transport to find a lasting solution to this problem. Some of them say the introduction of probates has not resolved the issue, so they call for re-graveling of the roads, especially those in rural areas.
Maloma or Maloma Hlatikhulu kuthi ngabe ukumaphi amaplan zakhe ukuthi kuyawe kwendeke khona sibanifakele impilo khona
indaba yema bridge that damage regional alloys athatha isikhathi kwalungisa ngathi mina igwaqo lebhizi angibekisa nje into specific nalelapha ebuka. I don't know why it's taking so long ngathi
lokunye la bridge ngwalomgwaqo bagreda lomgwaqo bangafaki emapontsha kuphuma lamanje le greda thina kuthiwa yilambi greda kuthiwa yogreda le kodvele ebhuku kufanele udlala ngayo le mali ngoba nalina letulo xa uyodlala enkulu kuyawasha.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Kangeziwe Mabuza, says as means to maintain the roads, government will now use Altipave single layer, which is 20 millimeters asphalt, for fast single layer resurfacing.
Sizama lokubuka ukuthi ngikuphi lokhu cost effective ukuthi sifake le mali kule tiyela nekuthi siqhubeke nokugrade kufike kuwasheke. kuye embili. Yes, ku-introduce any element ye-maintenance emva kwesikhashana ukuthi sikawukhona yini ukumaintaina. Sikuvukile konke lokho sisakhulumisana nabo.
The PS says the ministry has already started fixing most of the roads in communities, roads being constructed using pro-base, as well as big roads. She says most of the roads will be completed starting from August to December this year. Roots and Inyat have been awarded tender to fix roads across all regions, with each company given 2 regions. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Bawethu Stole, Parliament.
Insufficient budget allocation for capital projects than requested, like roads construction, results in completion costs shooting up. This was said by the PS in the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Kangezwe Mabuza, when giving an update about the Nhlangano-Stunusa Road before the Public Accounts Committee.
When the Minister of Public Works and Transport appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, the Principal Secretary Kangezwe Mabuza gave an update regarding the construction of the Nhlangano-Stunusa Road. Among other things, Mabuza says lack of funding generally results in government paying more for capital projects than initial plan.
Submit a budget above 600 million. Let's see, 7 invitations and bids. Ukuthi bo contractor abatshengisa interest basho ukuthi bangasakhela ngamali ubuye nomgwaqo ube lesithandzako nalokudasebentela.
She says they submitted about 650 million emalangeni. However, they were allocated 160 million emalangeni. She says the project was to be completed within 18 months. She foresees an increase in the cost for constructing the road.
Lana siya enkingeni lelisuka kuyo bahlonishwa. Leyo ukuthi wathi umsebenzi utakudulela ube khona. Uthole lokungaka.
Mabuza says if all goes well, the construction of the road will resume in September. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Bawethu Stole, Parliament.
The High Court has granted bail to Nondobego Precious Msibi, who is a lawyer who was arrested for alleged fraud. The lawyer is accused of allegedly defrauding her client over 1.5 million emalangeni. The application was before Judge John Makakula.
Nondobego Precious Msibi has been in the hands of police since last week for alleged fraud. She has been kept at the Mbabane police station and will now be free should she pay her bail. The accused faces a charge of fraud. She is suspected of defrauding Bonsile Theodora Dlamini, who was a client. Ndobego's charge sheet states that Bonsile was to receive over 2.1 million emalangeni from the South African Road Accident Fund. It says Ndobego allegedly misrepresented with the intent to defraud Bonsile that the money had not been paid into Sugati Msibi attorney's trust account. It also states that by this, she induced Bonsile to the actual loss and prejudice of over 1.5 million emalangeni. It is alleged that the accused knew that the said money was paid into her trust account and was due to be paid to her client. The Crown has laid an alternative charge of theft against Nondobego. She has been accused of allegedly stealing over 1.5 million emalangeni from Bonsile between March 2016 and July 2017. In her bail application, Nondobego claimed that she would not abscond trial because she cooperated with police officers upon her arrest and throughout the investigation. She says she will not influence any witness or witnesses or destroy or conceal any evidence if granted bail. Ndobego told the court that she is a practicing attorney and a married woman with 3 minor children. She also told the court that she is the sole breadwinner in her family and is also sickly. The court then granted her 50,000 emalangeni bail and ordered that she pays 5,000 emalangeni cash and provide surety worth 45,000 emalangeni. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, Mbabane.
The hostile relationship between the Ministry of Public Works and Transport and Central Transport Administration General Manager Washington Khumalo rages on. According to the ministry's Principal Secretary Kangezwe Mabuza, this has had a negative impact on government ministries' day-to-day operations.
Strained relationship between the Minister of Public Works and Transport and Central Transport Administration General Transport Manager Washington Khumalo made headlines last year when the minister appeared before the Public Accounts Committee. The strained relationship between the minister and Khumalo was among other things caused by the closing of CTA trading account, as the garage is now fully under the Minister of Public Works and Transport. On Monday, when the minister appeared before the committee, Mthoganen Member of Parliament Roy van Rakis wanted to know if it was true that there is poor cooperation between Khumalo and government ministries. The Principal Secretary Kangezwe Mabuza confirmed the report.
Zoliswana lokhona ngoba na controlling officer uyambhalela DTM angaphenduleki yalo mzoliswana sicela loku acknowledge ukuthi usesekhona kodwa siyathemba ukuthi sitawahamba nema ministry kuliqiniso bayabhala sikutholile betshelo ukuthi vele kuba khona lokuthi
Mabuza also presented some of the control measures undertaken by government as means to regulate the usage of public funds. She says these strict control measures includes that Cabinet will now authorize every contract by ministries.
So I think it's in general, because we have to get the authorities as well. This is a cabinet, if we are in cabinet, because we have to get the sanction, because it's not sign. So when you have a book and the contract, no matter the newspaper, our day. Certainly, the government is very before the so now one of the control measures.
Khumalo was not present to respond to the allegations leveled against him. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Bawethu Sithole, Parliament.
The Kingdom of Eswatini has sent samples to the National Institute for Communicable Diseases in South Africa to be tested whether the COVID-19 variant first detected in India is in the kingdom or not. This has been confirmed by World Health Organization epidemiologist Dr. Kevin Makadzange, who has said that there are chances that the widespreading variant is in the kingdom.
On Sunday, President of the Republic of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, announced that the neighboring country will go to lockdown level 2. This has been caused by an increase in COVID-19 cases with the spread of the variant first detected in India. World Health Organization epidemiologist Dr. Kevin Makadzange says there is a possibility that the variant is in the country. He says this is because it has been discovered in countries close to Eswatini, namely South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe.
And actually, WHO supports actually the transportation of these samples, so we are waiting for the results. So those results will come either to confirm whether we have the variant in Eswatini or not. But this is a variant that is spreading very fast, and there might be chances that it's already in the country, since it's actually in South Africa, and looking at the traveling that takes place between Eswatini and South Africa, the chances and the risk is there. It's high that actually we might also end up actually having the variant in the country.
In South Africa, the variant has been found in the Northern Cape, Northwest and Gauteng provinces. Dr. Makadzange says for now they will await the results from the National Institute for Communicable Diseases so to know whether Eswatini has the variant or not. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, Babani.
Manzini Nazarene High School learners will on Friday this week represent the African continent on the Junior Achievement Company of the Year World Cup, which will be held virtually. The learners innovated a hydrophobic smart mobile tower garden.
For the first time, the Kingdom of Eswatini will be represented at the Junior Achievement Company of the Year Worldwide Cup. The country will be represented by Manzini Nazarene High School learners who innovated a hydrophobic smart mobile tower garden to produce crops such as lettuce, spinach, herbs, and cucumber. The learners were crowned the champions in the Junior Achievement Company of the Year in Africa. Communications and Marketing Officer at Junior Achievement Mkonda says They are hopeful that Eswatini will be crowned the winners.
We are very much hopeful that Manzinazar is going to bring the Africa Championships from the World Cup, and also their product is of international standards. Everyone is actually wanting to be part of that project that they are doing, because it kind of embraces everyone in their living areas, so you are able to do your gardening. So we've had quite a wonderful responses from the judges, and we are looking forward to the announcements. And if we do get the World Cup winnings and become the winners, we are going to get quite a number of prizes. The students are going to get cash prizes that are going to be their own money that they win. JA Eswatini stands to also win as an office. Even JA Africa stands to win as an office. So we are looking forward to the competition, because it's going to benefit even the staff, even the students that have taken part of, even the school as Manzinazar, they're going to benefit from this World Cup.
Mkonda says the results will be announced on Monday next week. Reporting, I'm Lungelele Makakula with Mbangwatuba in Manzini.
Secretary General of the Baphalali Eswatini Red Cross, Danger Nhlabatsi, says assisting Emaswati who have suffered from natural disasters and working together with the government of Eswatini will help create a favorable environment for all citizens of the country. Nhlabatsi said this during a workshop that was held at the Happy Valley Hotel in Eswatini.
The Baphalali Eswatini Red Cross Society has met to address the organization's preparedness of effective responses in reaching out to communities, particularly those that have been hit by natural disasters. Secretary General of the organization, Danger Nhlabatsi, explains.
This workshop is squarely focusing on preparedness for effective response, which basically talks to issues of Red Cross checking itself if we are indeed ready to provide the necessary response in case of disasters or in case of any eventuality.
Nhlabatsi says, in accord with the government's efforts to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, the Baphalali Eswatini Red Cross Society has trained over 600 volunteers that will help in conveying factual information from the Ministry of Health, especially in rural communities.
We have also trained over 600 volunteers that are stationed in the different strategic points of the country, ready to be deployed in the event the COVID-19 third wave is hitting us.
Nhlabatsi emphasized that evaluating and analyzing the organization's national responses will serve as a replication in dealing with different forms of natural disasters. Reporting for Eswatini TV, Nomalungelo Jeda with Bawetu Stole in Zulwini.
WHO's Health Promotion Officer Dr. Kevin Makatsange says this year, on the day of the commemoration of World Tobacco or World No Tobacco Day, the UN urges member states to put in place measures such as quit clinics. This follows studies which have revealed that there are 60% of tobacco users who have expressed interest to quit but lack the resources to do so.
The annual No Tobacco Day is commemorated on the 31st of May as an opportunity to raise awareness on the harmful and deadly effects of tobacco use. This year, the day is commemorated under the theme Commit to Quit. Dr. Kevin Makatsange says the United Nations saw it fit to focus on encouraging tobacco users to quit because of dangers mainly related to COVID-19 and other diseases. He says studies have shown that 60% tobacco users globally have expressed interest in quitting, but the unavailability of resources to help them is an obstacle.
But the problem is the unavailability of support structures and even what we call quit clinics to allow them to actually quit tobacco use. So this year, as we are actually commemorating the World Tobacco Day, we are encouraging countries and partners to put those measures in place that will help actually tobacco users to quit.
He further explains that WHO has not neglected the harmful use of alcohol.
The challenge is we don't have such a treaty. So it becomes a bit difficult to control the use of alcohol. And also, even to negotiate that treaty for alcohol, it becomes a bit tricky because, as I highlighted, tobacco harms also the person next door. But alcohol use, when you use it, at times it just harms the person who is using it.
The tobacco epidemic is one of the biggest public health threats the world has ever faced, killing more than 8 million people a year around the world. More than 7 million of those deaths are the result of direct tobacco use, while around 1.2 million are the result of non-smokers being exposed to second-hand smoke. Reporting, I'm Lungulile Makakula from Dube in Babane.
School principals under Sipofaneni police station have revealed that there seems to be an increase in crime committed by pupils in school. This was said during a workshop for principals with the Royal Eswatini Police Service, which was held in collaboration with other stakeholders.
Sipofaneni Police, in collaboration with other stakeholders, has educated school principals on crime prevention in schools. Sipofaneni Station Commander Oscar Mota says this initiative aims to decrease the crime rate in schools. Mota says this workshop is a need especially because these schools are located in a high crime zone area.
Ne-violence lehlasele indzawo yakithi yasesiPhofaneni la khona sithena sibuka simaphoyisa nawo onke lalamanye ama-role players sase sithi awa sesiye kubantwana etikolweni la i-aim yethu kuba bamba basebancane ukuze bangaweli kulolu gibelo violence.
Mkhweli High School Principal Tembelihle Mamba, speaking on behalf of principals, says they highly appreciate the workshop because it will help them deal with pupils, and they will also have crime prevention clubs in schools where pupils will be taught about crime prevention.
Uyazama kumkhuthuza bayafihla vele and lenye futhi ibullying yendeka vele kakhulu, ibullying etikolweni nekwebelana ke babuyile vele covid babuya ngathi seba wild kakhulu.
Mamba says they hope they can play a role to decrease crime in schools. Reporting is Tembelihle Makuchwa with Temba Shabangu and Vumkosi Nzinisa at Sipofaneni.
National Road Transport Council Chairperson Sihlangu Nhlabati has urged motorists to refrain from transporting school-going children with vehicles that are not permitted to do so. Nhlabati says this is against the law. Lungalele Makakula has a report.
The chairperson of the National Road Transport Council, Sihlangu Nhlabati, says vehicles eligible to transport children are quantums, combis and 7-seaters that have permits to do so, not motorists' personal or private vehicles.
So actually those people who are carrying school-going children on their private vehicles, on which we call Honda Fit and the rest, are doing that illegally, and the law will take its course. We also urge parents to be vigilant in respect of who they pay and what kind of vehicle is being used to ferry that particular child to school, which you have realized it's the parents who go around looking for these vehicles and end up paying for those particular small vehicles who are not licensed, who does not even have an insurance. In the respect of having accidents, those children will be put in serious danger because that vehicle does not even have a certificate of fitness. So in the event we get an accident, it means you are risking the child big time. So we urge every motorist to refrain from doing such and to ensure that we follow the rules of the country. And we are sure the police are working on it to ensure that everybody complies with the regulations of the country.
He urges parents to be vigilant when inquiring about their children's transport and ensure that vehicles that ferry them are permitted to do so. Reporting, I'm Lungilele Makakula with Mbonga Dube in Babane.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Local swimmer Smanga Dlamini says he is happy with his preparations, in particular at the time as he prepares for the Olympics. Dlamini was attending one of his preparatory games in Durban, South Africa.
Smanga Dlamini is currently in South Africa, where he is preparing for the Olympics that will take place this year in Tokyo, Japan in June. Smanga Dlamini is currently in South Africa, where he is preparing for the Olympics Games that will take place in this year in Tokyo, Japan in July. In part of his preparations, Dlamini attended some games in Durban where he was looking at improving his time. Dlamini says he's happy with the time he got, even though he would have loved to record less than 24 seconds in his main race, which is in the 50 meters freestyle, but he got 26. Dlamini says he's happy still with what he has achieved in South Africa, and it shows that moving to South Africa was the right decision, as he has been improving over and over, and he attempts to beat the record time for Eswatini.
So ngende kahle kakhulu ku 53 ngishaya 26.93. So yeah, kusho kona ukuthi kujima kwami la South Africa kungisite kakhulu because ngisehlisile lesikhathi ngisuka ku 28 point something. So kujima kwami la South Africa kungisita kakhulu. So because nasijima ekseni enzambama, and then the next day siya gym, then swimming the next day. So ngathi nangachubeka maybe nangahlala maybe lenye inyanga ngamthola 24 ka 53 because that's my main event Klamala. So I'm focusing le 53 because I wanna at least get a national record la kangwane, noma at least be close to the qualifying time for my Olympics. Yeah.
He concluded by saying he will still be attending more games in South Africa where he believes it will help him with his preparations, and by the time he has to go for the Olympics, he would have been in a better position. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patricio Msibi, Mbabane.
Rugby coaches instructor Steve Reynolds says it is important for rugby coaches to learn about Rugby 7 tactics, as there's a huge difference from the normal rugby game played by 15 players. The Rugby Union was only allowed to host Rugby 7 games by the government.
When the government allowed rugby to be played again, he made it clear that only the Rugby 7 can be played instead of the normal rugby played by 15 players per team. The Rugby Association then decided to first host a workshop for their coaches where they will introduce the Rugby 7 to them. Instructor of the workshop, Steve Reynolds, explained why they needed the workshop first.
Rugby Sevens is primarily a non-contact sport. Okay, it's a totally different game to 15s, and so the skill set is the same, but the strategy, tactics, how you actually play the game is completely different to Rugby 15s. And so the whole purpose of these workshops are to introduce coaches to this change in style, this change in philosophy as to how to play Rugby 7s.
Okay. Steve says they are happy with the turnout of the coaches, where at least 20 of them showed up, and they expect more going forward as they want to have more coaches, which in turn will see producing more rugby players. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Patricio Msibi, Mbabane.
Well, Eswatini, that's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. The Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs says gambling addicts need support so they can be rehabilitated. The Public Accounts Committee urges the Ministry of Public Works and Transport to move fast in fixing the country's roads which are in a bad state. Insufficient budget allocation for capital projects then requested, like roads construction, results in completion costs shooting up. And with that, we sum up a bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
MTN.